Welcome to the Wingman Show. We float like butterflies and sting like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. My name is Drew Brown. This is the Wingman Show. And my wingman, my friend, my main man, and the guy who watches my six, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother Paul?
Not much. I'm here with you. I'm glad to speak to you. It's cold outside. I'm ready to do a good show.
Good. So am I. Hey, we got a wingman today. I know you have a story, but I'm going to call this wingman Dr. STEM. Dr. STEM, S-T-E-M, science, technology, engineering, and math. Dr. STEM is our wingman. And if you look behind me, look at that. That's an Italian jet called the Dassault Rafale. The helmet costs like $400,000 because it's all glass and you actually don't look at the airplane's screen and numbers. You look inside your helmet and it has everything. And you were telling me you saw one of our planes like that.
Yeah. The F-35, maybe the F-22, but I know the F-35's got a special helmet that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars and it's molded to the head of the individual pilot. Everybody's different. Basically, it's the cost of a very nice house.
Yes, nice house.
Yeah, it's precision fit for one person.
Wow. Well, the jet behind me goes about 1,200 miles an hour. Can you tell me something about that S-3 Viking behind you?
Yeah, that S-3 Viking is no longer used, but it was a frontline defender on the on aircraft carriers. It was used primarily for anti-sub warfare. Came out in the 70s, and the Navy flew them till really about 2016. They took them off the carriers in 2009. And their job was to basically look for submarines and destroy them. They used to call it a Hoover because the engines, it sounded like a Hoover vacuum cleaner. Not super fast, had a crew of 4, and had a couple friends that flew them, liked them a lot. They were, good guys on the ship. They were fairly quiet.
Very quiet. That brings me to when we were on the ship, there used to be a pecking order. Fighters and attack pilots would jockey for first, but for some reason, S-3s were on the bottom, I guess because they were the slowest. The funniest thing in the world is when you go on leave or you go ashore all over the world and you listen to S-3 guys in the bars, they start talking bad about helicopter pilots. So the pecking order just keeps going down. And Navy helicopter pilots talk about every other pilot in the world because they're not Navy pilots.
Yeah, but I'm going to say if you ever find yourself down in the water behind enemy lines and someone's coming to rescue you in a helicopter, they probably turn into the best pilots right away.
100,000%. Well, right. We want to welcome all of our frequent flyers out there. Thank you so much for watching us. Thank you so much for supporting us. Dr. Paul and I really appreciate it. If you don't mind, you can watch us on YouTube, but if you don't mind, why don't you write us a nice little review on Apple Podcasts? And I have a shout out. Oh, yes. Also, the newsletter is out every week. And to get the newsletter, all you have to do is go to WingmenShow.com. WingmenShow.com for the newsletter. Well, I'm going to give a shout out. I'm going to show a picture right now for everybody watching YouTube of one of my Christmas presents. Dr. Paul, it is a black robe Katrina got me with Wingmen stitched on the back. It is beautiful. It has, must have 1 million stitches in it. A guy named Brad Garrett from Squiggly Doodles here. I want to give a shout out to you. You did a beautiful job.
Okay, good. It's a robe. What is it like something that Muhammad Ali would wear, or
just like it, except instead of saying Muhammad Ali, it says Wingman Show, the champions.
Cool. Okay, I'll look forward to seeing it.
Well, I want to tell you something, Paul. I'm a dog lover, and I have Great Danes, and for the first time, I got a rescue dog, and his name is Moishe, a nice Jewish name, Moishe. And the reason I named him Moishe is because the previous owners named him Hershey, believe it or not. And he's black and a little bit of white, and he has nothing to do with brown. So I changed his name to Moishe. Anyway, he's a rescue dog, the sweetest dog in the world. but he has attacked me twice. Not bad, but right in the face. And that's because, so I was going to get rid of Moishe. Katrina and I had decided that we have to let Moishe go. And it was a very hard decision because other than that, the sweetest dog in the world. Well, this is the point of this whole story. Knowledge is king. I went and researched this. And see, education is everything. I went and researched this. Do you know what the research says? At night or anytime your face goes to a dog's face, it thinks attack because your teeth are right next to its face. And it doesn't appreciate that at all. And that's why he bit me. But here's the trip. I'm like, but what about all the other dogs I've raised? The point is I raised them. So I started to kiss them in the beginning. This dog was not raised here. And it says specifically that dogs who come from other homes really don't like you staring right at their face. And it was dark every time. And I kind of inched up to him and it happened. So Moishe is officially adopted. There's nothing wrong with Moishe. I just got to keep my face out of his face.
Okay, so basically the owner needed therapy.
The owner needed therapy and a couple of Band-Aids. But Dr. Paul, the reason I'm saying that is the reason that Moishe lives is because of some education, and it took time and hard work for me to go find out this knowledge. You know, I'm a Navy pilot, but I didn't want to be a Navy pilot. I wanted to be an airline pilot. And I went to the Air Force. They accepted me, except my class date was like 16, 17 weeks away, and I really needed a job. At the recruiting office, somebody told me, why don't you go down to the Navy? That's how I became a Navy pilot. So it wasn't my initial plans, but because I was in the game, Dr. Paul, because I was moving and grooving, that's where I got this information. And that's how your life goes somewhere. You have to be in the game. You have to be moving and grooving and be around the people that are going to be successful. And that's the reason I said that, Dr. Paul. What do you think about that?
I agree. It's funny. You know, basically your path in life has not been a straight line. That's what you're saying. Neither is mine. Curves and twists and turns in different directions, good directions. Yeah, sometimes people have a lot of breaks, but they can maintain that curve. They can get on a good trajectory as long as you keep moving forward. Don't give up. Don't give up. I saw something painted on the side of a homeless shelter in San Francisco, walking around about 15 years ago. One beautiful day. And they painted it in blue. And it said, "A man may be down, but he's never out." Big letters in blue. And I've never forgotten that. Unless you think you're out. Whatever you think is going to be true.
Right. Getting knocked down is not a problem. Getting up every time you get knocked down is the answer.
That's right. Try to get up.
And just like you said, we have crooked lives, but we were in the game. And opportunities presented itself at certain times in our life. We weren't sitting on our couch complaining or blaming somebody else.
That's right. That's right.
You know, we're sponsored by Magic Mind. So I want to tell you this about Magic Mind. You know, it's less stress, more productivity. It's great. It tastes great. I love it. And I'm on it big time. Katrina's on it. You're taking it. Mm-hmm. But this is how I know it's working. So I have a trailer that I have on my property that I walk to all the time and say I'm going to clean it and start removing junk off of it. The last time I saw it, I went and started removing junk off of it. And I can't tell you how many times I went there and just said it. I believe Magic Mind actually had me do it. Tell me about Magic Mind, because I love our sponsors.
Yeah, it's great. I'm getting more things done. Just the other day, it was, in fact, honestly, it was Christmas Day. And I looked outside and we had some weather that came through and a lot of branches were blown down, a lot on the sidewalk and freeze. And I said, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it one day. And then I'm thinking like, yeah, let me just do it now. So I did. I said, I'll get half of them. And I got half of them. And I said, well, let me get the other half. And I just did it. And it was cold, but I just did it. But I said, I could let it go to tomorrow. It's Christmas. But I said, I can do it in a few minutes. I put the stuff on it and I went on and did it. Would I've done it anyway? Maybe, probably not. But I just did it.
It's amazing. And when you said that, I did a little bit also and said, okay, that's enough. And something in me said, no, finish it.
Yeah, finish it. Yeah.
So if anybody, to me, it's a productivity that's really kicking in. I'm not procrastinating. And that's one of my big problems. But if anybody out there wants Magic Mind, you can go to their website, magicmind.co. That's magicmind.co. And because they sponsor us, they have given us a code, Wingman, that if you put in that code, you'll get up to 40% off. So I think that's a great, great thing.
Yeah, we recommend it highly.
Right. And we don't recommend many things.
No.
Education and Magic Mind right now.
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Paul, we've traveled all over the world, and they just came out with the 10 top cities in the world. We've been to some of these. So any little points or things that you want to say, please come out and say it. But the 10th most favorite city in the world, believe it or not, you and I have been there, is Mumbai, India. And when I first saw that, I wanted to know what part of Mumbai, India did they go to? Because I saw a lot of things in Mumbai that did not make it the greatest city in the world. But what did make it great were the people. Some of the sweetest, kindest, nicest, genuine people I have ever met in Mumbai. But I guess, we didn't go to the hot spots. We flew, stayed in this fancy ass hotel, and then flew away. Tell me about Mumbai.
Yeah, I found Mumbai was very interesting. I'd been there a number of times. It's a part of the world, like a lot of part of the world's Rick, there can be a very big discrepancy between people who live, I would say, at a very high, luxurious level and those who live at a very, very, very low level. And in some ways, kind of like New York, they may be right next to each other.
That's right.
You can go from billionaire to grinding poverty in maybe two steps, two paces. And that is true. They interact, Mumbai, it's a very big city, very interesting airport. Even flying in there is very interesting. Very rough runways and highly used. Lots of folks, lots of humanity. And I'm told that's where many people from all throughout India come to get jobs, come to get an opportunity and employment. Hence, it's a giant, metropolis.
Well, some of those jobs online, those people in Mumbai are doing it. When you want to get somebody to help you write something or do something with computers, those people there in Mumbai are used frequently.
Yeah, now it's a global thing, but Mumbai and the Philippines, maybe more in the Philippines now. I ask them where they are. Sometimes they won't tell you, or they'll say, "I'll give them a trick question. I'll know where the headquarters of the place is. Or how's the weather in such and such?" Well, and they get quiet for a second. It'll say, "Well, we cannot say for security." Like they're guarding an ICBM. Like, this is not the Pentagon. I'm just kidding.
But well, every time it's the Philippines, I tell them about lumpia and pancit, because that's two dishes that Filipinos eat.
That's true.
That are delicious, and they become my friends instantly.
And something with adobo, that's very Filipino. They used to make that on the ship. But my son used to have had a job where he was customer service. They would ask him about stuff. He was here, but he was not in the in the state where the headquarters was. So he always had a part of his computer screen that had the current weather of the place. So he said, "How's the weather in such and such?" And he would just read it off and tell him, which is pretty interesting.
That is interesting. Yeah. All right. Quickly, number 9 is Cape Town, South Africa. My wife, Katrina, went there. I've never been there. I grew up during apartheid in America, and I still have something in my gut against South Africa. I'm sure it's ignorance on my part, but there's just something about me because I grew up during the apartheid era. And now the 777 flies there. We could have been flying there. After we retired, it started to fly there.
Yeah, yeah. Never been there. I've heard different things, mostly, positive from some people that I've known for a long time. So maybe it could be on the list.
Yep. Cape Town is 9. Quebec City, Canada is 8. Merida, Mexico is 7. And number 6 is Tokyo, which we go to a hell of a lot. And Tokyo, when I think about Tokyo now, back when we flew there, people used to wear these masks that we're all wearing now. Right. And I used to look at them and I used to say, oh, look, they look like Michael Jackson. Well, isn't it funny? The entire world was looking like Michael Jackson at one time.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, the stuff's kicked back up. I had mine on yesterday, but I got a green one. I get different colors. If it helps, I don't know. I put it on. I'm using it more now because it's gotten colder.
There are a lot of things in the air now, RSV, the flu, and then we have COVID. And now they're restricting people from China. They're coming here. They have to be tested because there might be a new strain. God forbid. Anyway, then we have San Sebastian, Spain, and then one of my favorites, Bangkok, Thailand. Okay. Man, if you don't go to Bangkok, anybody out there who can hear my voice, you're missing something. And I'll never forget this, but remember that book by Mark Twain, or that saying, and he said, if you haven't traveled, you haven't even turned the first page on the book of life. Then we have Victoria, Canada, and I do have to say this about Canada. Some of the nicest people in the world also. They're just kind people. Victoria, Canada, and then one of my favorites, Singapore. And Singapore is the safest city in the world. And that's because if you do something wrong, you get caned. That means you get hit on your ass with a stick. And they say it is so painful that people pass out. And if you pass out before your licks are finished, they wait until you wake up and then they start over again.
Don't want you to miss any of the fun.
No, and I'm telling you, you don't even see gum on the street. Well, you can't chew gum, I think, in Singapore. Isn't that true?
You can't. Yeah, locals, you actually can. A visitor can. So they're not going to kill you if you chew. You can chew gum. You better not throw it down. You never better not put it anywhere. You shouldn't do that anyway. That's gross.
Well, I want to visit some of the places that I haven't been. And number 1 was San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. Now, this was from the Conde Nast Traveler's Reader's Choice Awards. And so a lot of people had an input in these top 10 cities. But the ones that I haven't been to, I would love to go visit.
Yeah, Singapore is great. And Singapore will come up again later in this broadcast.
Oh, it sure will. Yeah. And how about this? It is time for a Wingman PSA. From the 11 Facts in Life, number 3. Everything you do comes back to you. In life, you get away with nothing. Everything you do comes back to you. And that has been a public service announcement from The Wingmen Show. That's so true, Dr. Paul. I don't know what to say.
Well, then don't say anything.
Okay, I won't. Dr. Paul, you came upon a subject that I thought was amazing. And it's about one of your favorite animals. I think it's rats. Mm-hmm. But rats are now being used, and God, I hope you watch this on YouTube because we'll show you the pictures with these rats with little mini backpacks. They are trained to go into earthquakes they have in the backpack a microphone, a speaker, and a GPS, I guess, to track where people are. And the rats have been trained to go to through these fine crevices and everything to go find people. They're called rat heroes. Tell me about the rat heroes, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, that's a fascinating thing. They do have backpacks. They have like George Jetson high-tech backpacks that are, I guess they're made for them. It's not made by the same people that make the helmets for the Raphael and the F-35, but there's a lady that makes these things. I think they're based in Tanzania, East Africa. And I think they're going to use them basically for disaster recovery in cases of storms and probably earthquakes.
And landmines, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, landmine. Yeah, they've got some of these like giant rats that are good for landmine detection, and they do the same thing. I think they've used them in Asia now, but they're trained at this same place in Tanzania. Apparently, they say they're very sociable. The big ones they're like gigantic things, but they get the ladies with them walking with them on their shoulders, like they're pets. They're highly reliable, and they say these rats can be trained in about 2 weeks. They get a check ride and they go do their thing. They haven't used the little ones with the backpacks yet. They're actually waiting for a disaster, and they've got some stationed in Turkey. That's kind of a seismic area. So we'll see if it works.
Oh, I'm sure it'll work, but that's just amazing. And the pictures are great. How about this good news? You know, we're very health conscious here. We're very health conscious. We're financial conscious. We want people to do okay. 2 things. Let's go with the health first. Do you know that a 2-minute walk after you eat reduces blood sugar and fat, and it will help you if you have diabetes? I have type 2 diabetes. I am going to start putting this into my regimen. Mm-hmm. I've heard this a long time ago, but after you eat, within 30 minutes, if you take a 5, 10, 15-minute walk.
And I guess I was doing that all the time that I was working, because most of the time we'd go somewhere to eat, and every place took more than 2 minutes to walk.
That's right.
I guess you're working out when you realize that being retired now, that's not the case. So I have to really take to concentrate on that. And I guess at worst, you could walk around in your house. It'd be a little boring, but
that's what I wanted to tell you. It says that just start doing mini walks. Mm-hmm. Mini walks. Just start off. And Dr. Paul's favorite word is move.
Yeah, basically move.
You have to keep this body in motion. Yeah. And remember, if you're in motion, remember what we talked about earlier, you may get one of those hookups that changes your life.
Right.
Stay in motion. Stay in motion.
And here's something quick that can help everybody, and I'm incorporating in my life. During the day, if you're sitting around, if you can, see if you can just sit on the floor for 10 minutes in the day. It's going to help your back. It's going to help your core. It's going to do a lot of things. Being on a soft cushioned surface for a long time is not good for us, even your circulation inside your body. If you can just sit on the floor or carpeted floor, any kind of floor, for 10 minutes.
That's excellent advice. Let's get to our financial part. Credit cards. We talked about it a little bit last week, but I don't know if anybody knows this. If you have a bunch of credit card debt, the way to break it down and get your credit back is to start paying off the smallest balances first and just pay them off. And what you're doing is you're getting rid of these cards. Get rid of these cards. And you pay off the smallest balance until the big one's left, and then you try to get rid of that. Right. And I'll tell you, I live my life that my credit card is exactly like cash. Mm-hmm. So I pay my credit cards every month. Now, we talk about financial freedom. You have to have the money to pay your credit cards every month. But Dr. Paul and I and so many others of you who are out there, we've busted our ass to get jobs and professions. So we're able to pay off our credit cards. What do you think about the credit card payoff?
Yeah, you pay them off as you can. You're kind of like you may be like kind of climbing up a mountain. You start at the low levels and you work your way up. And then hopefully, when you start knocking off the big one, you go on the other side of that mountain, other side of that hill. You go uphill, pay it up, and you start going downhill. You make it less and less and less and less and less.
That's true. I want to talk about ashwagandha because that's in Magic Mind. Ashwagandha is an ingredient in Magic Mind. I think they have 12 or 14 ingredients, all natural. Yeah. But what are the benefits for ashwagandha? Because I've started to take it. Well, number one, it relieves stress and anxiety. It lowers blood sugar and fat. It increases muscles and strength and improves sexual function in women. It boosts fertility and testosterone levels in men, which will improve your sexual function. It sharpens focus and memory, and it supports heart health. And that heart has to keep pumping for us to continue to do anything.
Yes, it does.
What do you think about ashwagandha?
Ashwagandha is a good. I think it's good for stress reliever, and I think it helps you really after a good workout.
Really, how long have you been taking it?
Let's see. I've got some the Magic Mind, since you started, but I've got some ashwagandha gummies, which taste great. I've been doing that like about 6 months.
Wow. Well,
Enjoy.
if anybody wants this magic mind, once again, go to magicmind.co. That's magicmind.co and put in our code Wingman for 40% off. Put in our code Wingman for 40% off. But we're putting our names behind this magic mind. And Ashwagandha has really helped my health and my life greatly. All right. I want everybody, God, I wish everybody watched YouTube because I'm going to put this T-shirt out there. Dr. Paul didn't get this one, but this is one of the coolest T-shirts I've ever seen in my life. And do you know what it says?
What?
It says, just pretend I'm not here. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'll say that again. Just pretend I'm not here. That's what I'm doing. Because, you know, when you look at somebody out of place or something in your head, you're going, what's he doing? Well, make believe I'm not here because that's what I'm doing.
What,
You
now,
like that, Dr. Paul?
Was it somebody who was working a job? Okay, that's what I think that. What are they doing? Where are they? What are you doing? Where are you going? I'm like the next one in line. They're gone. Where are you going? Where are you going? What's happening? That's when I think that. And they should have a shirt saying, don't worry what I'm doing. I'll be back in a second.
Right. All right, Dr. Paul, it's time for our Wingman. Please, I'm so excited about this Wingman. I don't know what to do. Go for it, Doc.
Okay. Yeah, this week's Wingman is someone that shows the phrase age is just a number is true. Our Wingman this week is a young lady named Elena Annalie Wicker. Elena Annalie Wicker. And Elena Annalie Wicker is just turned the ripe old age. She's 13 years old. Well, what's the big thing about that? At the age of 13, she was the youngest intern ever at NASA. She'd interned at NASA. She's done obviously very well in school, but she's done well in school. Did you know that she is going to be attending med school? She graduated high school at 12. She's just 13 now. She's a junior at Arizona State University.
Wow.
And she has been admitted to the medical school class at the University of Alabama in the year 2024. So she's got another year of school to do. And she's on track to become a doctor after a few years of study, a doctor at the age of 18.
Amazing.
She did a lot of things. And she didn't have it so easy either. She was apparently an adopted child, adopted child from California, Fontana, California. Went to school, I guess, in Dallas. And, ran into a lot of opposition because she was so smart.
And black.
She was
and
black,
young.
yeah, black and young. She did very well. She was bullied for being smart, which is not unusual. But she was even at one time bullied by the principal of the school, principal of her elementary school, because there's no way that a black girl could do that well. She wasn't supposed to do that well. Apparently he said this. They took her out of that school for a year or so, went to some other place, and whoever her caregivers were found themselves in Jordan, the country of Jordan, where she learned Arabic and Spanish. Wow. Okay. She's back. She's at Arizona State University. She
has an organization, Dr. Paul.
Yeah,
and that's why she's a wingman.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm getting to that. That's why she is a wingman, because she's a wingman to other people. Because she started a group, her own group. It's called the Brown STEM Girl. The Brown STEM Girl is a foundation that looks for scholarship opportunities for women of color, young girls of color, women, females of color, to participate in STEM activities, not only STEM activities, but scholarships. And they even have Brown STEM Girl Abroad. And one of the places that they'll send a winner is Singapore.
Wow.
Not only the US, but she's got a foundation that'll send someone internationally if they want an international STEM experience. This is exceptional.
Let's go over STEM again.
STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math. That's the present and the future. Other things are important, but it's the future. It's basically the airplane behind Mr. Drew and the airplane behind me, which is old now, old and retired, but it's part of a large development process that takes many, many years and is advancing into the future. This is why we're going into space, and you get self-driving cars and all these other things that we take for granted and things that need to be improved. So this young lady, Anna Lee Wicker, is at the forefront of that, and she's just a teenager.
Amazing. Dr. Paul, the Wingmen, we want to start supporting STEM, because I was thinking about this. My whole life, I've been prodding young people to go to college. And I'd ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? And a lot of them didn't know, and which is fine. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up until 26. But the point is, if you don't know what you want to be, then go towards science, technology, engineering, and math. Because if you go to those four, you can do anything else. Right. You can do anything else, right, from doctor to bricklayer.
That's right. And you can do both.
You can do both.
There's no reason a doctor can't be a bricklayer. You just don't bust up your hands.
Well, for everybody out there, I wish you this. Whatever is beautiful, whatever is meaningful, whatever brings you happiness, may you have it for now and beyond. Dr. Paul, I pray for peace.
I pray for peace and good health for you and everyone.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth and goodwill towards all men and women.